Hey, it's Melissa. Welcome to my $100,000 stock experiment, year 3, week 26, ending October 9th, 2020. This isn't an endorsement to purchase any stocks that I bought or purchase stocks in general. I'm on a mission to become a great growth stock investor, and I'm letting you watch me on my journey. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and celebrate my successes. According to the IBD at investors.com, the market is in a confirmed uptrend. The S&P 500 index is looking good. It held above this solid green line that I drew on February 14th, 2020 at 33.45 and actually went nicely above it. It's also above its 50-day simple moving average. Here's a look with the simple moving averages I use. I have the pink, the 8-day simple moving average, and the green 16-day simple moving average. And you can see that pink line, the 8-day simple moving average, is going up. Let's see if we can get past the high of September 2nd at 35.88. I shared my buy rules with you last week. I'm buying when the market is in a confirmed uptrend, which it is now. I'm evaluating my stocks against this A190 tweaked screen, and I can have one defect on that. I'm trying to buy at a correct buy point, pyramid into my positions, which I'm not doing so well at, and ultimately hold 7 to 10 stocks, which I have more than that now. I took a screen that Amy Smith shared with us at a meetup that she called the A190 screen, and I tweaked it a little bit in MarketSmith to be my own, have some of the ratings that aren't as stringent as the ones that she had. When I'm looking at stock charts, I see how it measures up against this A190 tweaked screen. And I did make 6 purchases this week, 4 new stocks and 2 B2s. Every time I buy a stock, I set a stop limit order as a floor. Initially, it's 8% below my purchase price, and then I try and leave it at that 8% for 4 weeks unless the stock makes a double-digit gains or the market is not in confirmed uptrend. Paycom Software, stock symbol PAYC. I bought this stock on Tuesday. I've held it for the 4 days and it's up 7%, which is great. It had nice run up in volume at number 1. I probably should have bought it sooner, but it went into the pivot the day before I purchased it with 32% above average volume on MarketSmith. That average is the 50-day average for volume. And then the next day it took a little rest, and I bought on that rest day, the day that it went down. It did have one defect on my A190 tweak screen. It had a relative strength of 87 instead of 95, which I like. Vista Outdoor, stock symbol VSTO. This is one of my loser stocks. It may be forming a handle, which if it does, hopefully it doesn't drop down to my 8%. It had 8 out of 8 on my tweak screen. It had the blue dot on the weekly and the daily. It was into the pivot with volume. And like I said, it went down after I bought it. So I'm down 5% in 4 days on this stock. West Pharmaceutical Services, stock symbol WST. This one was in the pivot on the weekly. It had one defect on my screen, a relative strength of 93 versus 95. It was up and above average volume, which I like. So I held this one also for 4 days and it's up 1.8%. TFI International, stock symbol TFII. This stock I've just held the 3 days. It's my most recent purchase and it's up 2.4%. It was on the list of stocks breaking out today. I love this chart with the increasing volume, but it did have negative EPS and sales for the latest quarter. The A190 tweak screen missed on relative strength. It had an 89 and I want a 95. Every week I review my charts and see if there's a point to raise my floor. Since all of my stocks I've held 2 weeks or less, I didn't raise the floor unless it went up in double digits. Viva Systems, stock symbol VEEV. This one had a nice comeback this week. Last week it was down 2.3%, and now I've held it the 2 weeks and it's up 4.3%. So I have a nice gain in this one right now. I think this is called PerkinElmer, PKI is the stock symbol. This is a volatile stock. It has those long price bars, but the price is tightening up and it is living above that 8-day simple moving average, that diagonal pink line, which is nice. I'm wondering if I should buy more of this stock. Last week it had been up 1%, and this week it's up a total of 5.1% in the almost 2 weeks that I've held it. NVIDIA Corp, stock symbol NVDA. I'm wondering if this one's forming a handle. It went up and then it sort of came back down a little ways. Last week it had been down as much as 3.8% at ended my week at, and now I've held it for a week and a half and it's up 1.3%. So I have a little bit of a gain in this stock. AMD, this is my other loser stock. I've held it a week and a half and it's down 0.7%. It dropped on Friday after it announced that it was acquiring Xilinx. The street obviously didn't like what they were saying or what they were buying. We'll see what next week brings, but I might possibly sell this stock. DH Horton, stock symbol DHI. This stock is basically flat. It's sort of going sideways. I do have a 2.3% gain in the week and a half that I've held it. DocuSign is also having sideways action. Last week it was down 1.9%, and this week I've held it the week and a half and I'm up 1.4%, so a little bit of a gain. Shift4 Payment, stock symbol FOUR. This stock I have a nice gain on, 11.2% in the week and a half that I've held it. I did raise my floor to 1% above the purchase price. It had a super gain this week. Last week it had only been up 2.9%. So this is a big winner for the week. I like to add to my positions as they prove themselves. Simulations Plus, stock symbol SLP. I had added to this stock on September 30th, and I thought that I sold it last week, but that sell was actually in a different account. So I still own this at the beginning of the week, and it was down on Monday, and I got out of my B2 position with a 10% loss. So I think that's my largest loss of the year or close to it. I like to try and keep that around 8%, but I didn't have the floor set on this one. I had it set in a different account where I had this holding. It did have a nice comeback this week though, after I sold it. Last week it had been down 5.9% on my B1, and this week, after 2 weeks of holding it, my B1 is up 3.3%. SailPoint Technology, stock symbol SAIL. I added this on Tuesday, but it didn't do so well. The price now is tightening up. Last week I had a gain of 9.3%, so it's down from last week. My gain now, after a week and a half on my B1, is 8. And then I've held my B2 for 4 days and I'm down 4.4%. I also made a B2 in Datadog, stock symbol DDOG. I made the purchase on Tuesday. I've held it the 4 days and it's at 5.5%. And this stock had a really nice gain on Friday. Last week it was up 2.4%. And this week I've held it for the week and a half and it's up 10.6%. I typically like to raise my floor up above the purchase price when I have a double-digit gain, but it seemed too high on this one, raising it up too fast, since if I would have raised it above my purchase price, I had been at that price a couple times this week already. So I raised it up to my 16-day simple moving average for my B1. Here's a summary of my sold stocks. So I thought I had sold SLP last week, but I didn't, and so now I sold it for a larger loss than what I had last week. Here's the current holding bar chart that shows one bar for each week. The dotted black line is my $10,000 purchase price, and the solid yellow line is my 8% floor. I put stars on the ones that I thought were super performance this week. Datadog had a nice gain up. 4 in the purple had a nice gain up, and PKI in the red looks great also. And then I put a blue star for the stocks that were down last week and had a nice comeback this week. So DocuSign, NVIDIA, SLP, and Viva were all down last week, but now they're in the positive. This chart is just showing the stocks that I've held for the 2 weeks. And then my new purchases, I've just held these stocks for 1 week. And the one that's doing the best here of my new purchases is Paycom, followed by TFII in the green, which I've only held for 2 days, so that's doing great. The only one that's down is VSTO. I look at my dollar value gain each week and I sort with the losers on the top, thinking if I take care of the losers, then I can just let the winners do their thing and keep winning. So my 2 losers this week where I have a loss are Visto and AMD. And the weekly percentage change, I also sort with the lowest percentage on the top. So Visto, the 5% that it's down is since I purchased it, since I just held it part of a week. And Sale Technology for the week was down 1.1%, while the previous week sale was up 9.3%. I put a 2 next to AMD and DocuSign because they did not beat the S&P 500 for 2 weeks in a row. All of the stocks that didn't beat the S&P 500 this week are in that red box. So after 2 years and 26 weeks, my $100,000 has grown to $161,338 versus the S&P 500 for the same time period has grown to $130,901. My account went up about $5,000 this week, which is awesome. The biggest portion is the stocks that I've held that I purchased last week and still hold, $4,500 there. Simulation Plus went down from last week to this week, another $117. It's my mistake. And then my new purchases this week, I have a gain of $702 on those. My experiment year started mid-April. Over on the left-hand side, you can see the values for the S&P 500, and down at the very bottom are this week's numbers. The S&P 500 went up 3.8% for the week, circled in blue down at the bottom, versus on the right-hand side, the Melissa method went up 3.3%. I'm happy with that since I wasn't fully invested at the beginning of the week, and hopefully next week I can continue going up and I can beat the S&P 500 next week. For my experiment year, for the 26 weeks that I've been in it this year, my experiment on the right-hand side in the circled in the yellow is I'm up 11.5% versus the 24.6% for the S&P 500. So it's definitely beating me right now, and I hope to come back. My industry breakdown shows that I'm super concentrated in software stock. I have $75,000 of my portfolio in software stock. My next largest group is the medical with $20,675, followed by chips with just about $20,000. And then I just have one purchase each in the building sector, finance, transport, and leisure. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my next episode, or better yet, subscribe to my channel, The Melissa Method. Don't forget to hit the bell if you want an alert when I post a new episode.